Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paladins Minor League Qualifiers. My name is Pretty here, alongside Gormizer. We're going to bring you set 3 of 4 today. Obviously, we already watched a little bit of action there in Group 1, so congratulations to Clown Fiesta and All Business. Those are your first 2 teams qualified for the European Minor League. So now we're going to head to the other group of 4 teams. And just like before, right, we're going to watch the highlights, and then at the end, we will give you the final standings and who are our other 2 teams that are going to be qualifying out. Our first matchup is Blazing Hussars and ChromaSpace.
And that is a matchup that, I mean, we've seen it countless times under different rosters, like through the PGS. Every single month they would come through. And this is one I actually believe we got to see last week. Both of these teams are incredible that they've been able to come through, even with their small changes. But I feel like Blazing Hussars had a statement to make.
Yeah, this feels like it's going to be one of the heavyweight matchups of this group. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get it underway. To the map screen we go. We'll take a look at the bans here and see what we've got available. No Frog Isle. That's been a pretty popular one today. I think we've seen that in every set so far. And Warder's Gate will be gone. Ice Mines and Frozen Guard all taken out of the pool.
Being able to go to Jaguar Falls, I mean, we've seen this map a couple times today as well, or at least being able to come through. And this is where things like Bomb Kings, a lot of the champion specifics will get banned away. But the first game of every set so far has been, we're just going to get rid of 4 front lines, and then whatever happens to come through is just going to have to cause us trouble.
Yeah, because that's... And Grover's, honestly, the only support that's ever been banned like this consistently. But it almost makes sense in a way, right? Where you've got your bans like your Bomb Kings, like you were saying. I think we had another random ban. I can't remember what it was, but it's like you start out with those front lines, and then you let the set kind of determine what's getting banned out in the next couple of games. What are our flavor bans this time around? What are they looking really good on today? What do we need to slow them down on? That type of thing.
ChromaSpace will be able to get Bomb King, and I'd say of all the maps, like for Drogo's Bomb King, if you're looking blasters, this is a really, really solid map for both of them. But you give up the Makoa, you give up Cassie. If you're going Ruckus plus another frontline, big game Cassie is going to eat through shields and health incredibly fast.
I actually think this is like, this probably is Bomb King's best map for my money. I think he just owns on this map. Almost every, he's good from like mid-range and closer, right? The further you are away from Bomb King, the safer you are relatively. And so he's such a devastating force when you can get into that wheelhouse range and you're not missing a single bomb. You put a lot of pressure on the enemies that you are fighting out against. We've seen 3 tanks, we've seen 1 tank, we've seen the 3 DPS. We've seen a lot of comps today. How do you feel about what's rounding out here in this first draft?
Honestly, Blazing Hussars have a very tried and true kind of draft when it comes down to it. I think Zen is going to have a little bit more work cut out for him. But I mean, Makoa, Nara, Cassie, Maldamba are just 4 staples. Zen is even a staple. It's just a little more execution heavy. Whereas ChromaSpace, Bomb King has to look really good, Barrack has to look really good, and Pip has to look really good to make it all work.
That's pretty much the story of the first set there. Evan and I were saying, you know, these all business comps, they were drastically different, which is really cool. And I hope that they keep doing that because I absolutely love watching teams that do that type of stuff. But it was like still hard to execute. Sometimes they did, and sometimes they didn't.
Yeah.
There was no real in between though. It was extremely hot or cold. So when you're looking at this composition, I tend to agree with you that it feels like ChromaSpace have drafted something far, far safer.
Unlimited Power is where my eyes are going to be. You can see all the talents coming through. Most of them going to be very staple. Rocket Barrage for Quariel is probably the one that's going to stand out the most, just because Ruckus has a couple talents people will flex around with, having a couple more rockets, a little bit more burst to try and burn through someone like Andrew Doodle, Graphies, maybe Kamakura Tutu, but it's going to be a lot of work. I think Pip, Bomb King are going to have to focus these front lines harder than they've had to focus a front line before.
Let me correct myself. Blazing Hussars have drafted something far safer and easier to execute, it feels, than ChromaSpace have. Look at this angle, though, for Unlimited Power. Bomb King just plowing into Inara, but she pops her Earth and Guard, and that's that Gormizer. He can't get any more damage through.
I mean, that is the one thing I've been thinking about the numbers for front lines in Paladins. And, you know, Makoa, you can burn through him. Like, you can deal with him.
What do the numbers mean, Mason?
When you look at Barrack, Barrack's got like 2,000 extra HP with the bowling ball resets and the shields.
Yeah.
But Inara just straight up has like 15,000 health that you never actually get to see. Like, she has the 5,000 on base that you typically see for a lot of players. This one's 4,700 instead of the max that you can get out of her guards. But, like, she's going to just damage reduction and sponge heal up
Healing
as
amp.
much
It's
as she
tough.
possibly can. You have to find that perfect moment. You have to have like really good cauterize. Like she's just so hard to kill.
It's the emergency brake on your health bar. You know what I mean? It's just drop, and you play a lot of Inara, so you probably know this feeling.
I love Inara.
You just hit the right click and your health bar just stops moving or goes up. One of two directions, but not down. Not in this case. Blazing Hussars, quick capture here. About 2 minutes left to get this one pushed through, but it only takes him about a minute and change to get this one locked down. And that's kind of what we saw. When you stack the frontliners up against each other, you kind of got to give it to Blazing Hussars and Nara Makoa. It's like, okay, I mean, I don't know, there's no real weakness there. When you look at the damage dealers, you're looking at Bomb King Pip versus, you know, Cassie Zin. I don't know if I would lean anyway, maybe slightly towards Blazing Hussars, just because Pip is more of a hybrid, right? So
yeah.
I don't know, got less.
Who
did that?
That could have been really neat. Cassie knocked him off, and he almost knocked himself right back on, but Poppy Bomb, especially at that level, trying to execute it where you need to be able to bounce onto the map is very difficult. Evil Mojo does come through and gives a little bit of breathing room for ChromaSpace, but I mean, this is kind of what I expect, right? You have easier shots, quote unquote, easier shots to hit because they're blaster shots, but Cassie's just such a staple, Zin's such a staple that you are fighting what feels like an uphill battle.
That's a big boy hook right there, a grown man hook, if you will. Let me ask you this, Gormizer. In the second round, before this team fight breaks out, whose like suite of ultimates do you like better? Now that because that was so quick, we didn't get to see any ults. Next round, though, we will be seeing ults. And who do you think would have the advantage in a 5 ult versus 5 ult fight?
I actually think I like ChromaSpace's a little more, which is weird to think about, but it honestly comes down to just King Bomb Evil Mojo and how much they can change a game.
That is true.
Unfortunately, Coriel just used the Hexafire that I was hoping to see next round, so that going into this without that, without the Dome Shield, without the Hexafire, I mean, they're going to have nothing for round 2.
That's true. These are slow charging, especially some of these frontline ults. Frontlines probably have the slowest charging ultimates in the game. I don't know if that's just because of a raw number of they just have the slowest charging, most impactfuls, or they just can't get out the damage that some of these supports and some of these DPS characters can. But 3 kills roaring through here for the Blazing Hussars. They are coming in 5 strong. Doodle with some beautiful disengages. And despite the 4-man Evil Mojo, that payload will find its way home.
The chicken can still push.
That was sick.
That's what I just learned there.
So funny.
That is, I mean,
Poor little chicken.
He's just been on point with these shots, even right there, and that's the big game coming into effect. And I expect to see potentially looking not only at his slash line being impressive, but a Wrecker coming through to deal with Coriel's shields, to deal with Dyrach's shields as well, just to make sure that they never are a factor, never anything he has to worry about. And now you're coming in. They don't even have the King Bomb. They used every ult at the end of the round, and they still couldn't get the defense.
We're here in the minor league qualifiers, for those of you that may just be joining us. But Andrew Doodle is a guy that was, a lot of times, the sole shining light for a struggling Premier League team.
Yeah.
He is a guy that is going to be a heavyweight in this minor league equation. So obviously we're still seeing and waiting if Blazing Hussars will qualify at the end of the day. This is likely to be your heavyweight matchup for the day, and Andrew Doodle is still finding a way to shine.
And these shots are just perfect. Again, the Wrecker plus the big game just makes it look easy. There's nothing Coriel can do in the face of this Cassie. And then if you can't stand there as Ruckus, Barrick is probably the only other person who can maybe look at her face-to-face and survive long enough to actually make a decision about what to do. Everyone else, Bomb King, Pip, and this Furia, really have nowhere to stand with Andrew Doodle looking at him.
So we're still, unfortunately, for ChromaSpace, a couple of those ultimates didn't really hit the mark in round 1. They still gave up the offense. And now we're looking at a fight in round 2 where Blazing Hussars do still have ultimates. They already had the better team fight in round 1 without ultimates, and now they're having the same team fight but with ultimate advantage. And it's kind of not really surprising to me that it goes that way.
Yeah.
And we may never even get to see that team fight with ChromaSpace having ultimates, but that's just the way the cookie looks like it may be crumbling for now. But either way, I just keep looking at this draft from Blazing Hussars, and I'm like, where's the imperfect choice? Is there anything wrong with this on any front? And I can't really find anything that I don't like.
I would say of all things, ChromaSpace, because the first thing they drafted was Ruckus Bomb King, which I think is really solid on this map.
Sure.
But letting Makoa and Nara through for one side really does tend to skew the front lines, especially since we still saw 3 out of the 8 banned away. So there were a limited pool, and you already let one of the strongest through first pick. Like, it's just so difficult to start off that way and not feel like you're tripped immediately.
You know, I like that you bring it up that way because you're right. Ruckus Bomb King is a damn good combination on this map, but Paladins drafting is such a finely tuned art. It's like, was it the right time to pull these couple of things out? They're trying to fight back with ultimates here, and it's working in a sense. There's a 2-for-2 trade happening at the moment. And there's an Hexifier coming out as well, just to put the foot down and say, all right, let's like not lose this team fight. Let's not get 4-0'd right here, right now, and let's put up a little bit of a defense. Staggering out Maldamba. He will finally die there to Barrack when it's all said and done. That buys just the defensive team a couple more seconds off the clock. They've still got 50 seconds to burn.
They used 4 ults. That's the you get 50 seconds to burn, you get a little bit of a defense there. Use 4 ults to find it. That's kind of where ChromaSpace, it's been the feel for them so far. This game is cool, you got this fight, but like I need to see you do it again. I need to see you do it without maybe any crutches. No ults, you just have to be able to win a fight one-on-one, because right now Blazing Hussars are coming in with pretty much nothing as well.
It's tough.
But they've just been playing more consistently.
It's not optimal, but you got to stay in the game. You know what I mean? Like you can't be saving these ults for next game.
Oh no!
Stay alive as long as possible. Do what you got to do. Play the game as it is unfolding in front of you. 12 seconds left now. 2 kills for the defense, 3 kills for the defense, and no more ults needed. That's going to be all she wrote. That's exactly the fight that you asked for, Gormizer. 5 for nothing. No ultimates needed. ChromaSpace don't have a lot going into this next round. Blazing Hussars kind of do. They have 2 ultimates here. They've got their Ancient Rage, their Spite, and they're almost there on Seismic Crash. So it's not great, but it's not as bad as it has been.
I mean, I expect potentially to see 2-2 do something very similar to this. It was just a kind of a 2-man Wrecking Ball being led by Makoa. He's only 4-4 and 9, but he's been setting up the kills, the 6-4-7, 12-3-4, Cassie and Xin. But I mean, Xin has been, I don't even want to say like silent, he's just been dealing damage. Cassie obviously is doing a ton of work for the team, but he's been just following up consistently. And when you look at the other side, Pip kind of holding his own, 3-3, he's at least staying even. You even have a couple people positive, but Unlimited Power is 1-8 right now. And that is just not where a Bomb King can sit and win a game.
Especially because he's, you know, incredible track record in the PGS. Not in terms of winning in the PPL, but certainly didn't perform poorly in the PPL. Like, he had good games, he had great moments. He's a hell of a player. He is certainly better than 1-8 on Jaguar Falls with Bomb King. Again, this is a tough draft to fight into. Blazing Hussars are having their way with ChromaSpace at the moment, but Unlimited Power is not a 1-8, 1-9 now performer.
And unfortunately for them, even with an Inflame, and this is how I think you can tell the difference in skill between 2 teams when it comes down to it. There was an Inflame on top of that Ruckus. There was an Inflame for part of that fight, and they still all end up getting wiped and pushed back. That, I think, is showcasing how strong Blazing Hussars are on this map, what they've been able to accomplish, and being able to lock down that 1-10 for the poor Bomb King, who has gotten to have pretty much no moments of excellence this entire map.
99 and quietly into that good night. Blazing Hussars will take the 4-1 here on Jaguar Falls. Incredible showcase there. Really, really dope draft. No real weaknesses no matter how you slice it. And it just kind of plays how we were thinking a little bit there. It's tough. Drafting is a tough element to get right, because I think I really like what you said again. Ruckus Bomb King, not bad on Jaguar Falls. Just maybe not at the right time. What else is open? There's so many things you have to factor in. And I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers, because if I did, I'd probably be coaching a Premier League team. But here we sit.
I mean, I will say, Andrew Doodle, probably someone, you can't really predict a Cassie doing incredibly well, but you can see his name. You can see he's going Cassie. You can see he has big game. And as Coriel, at least I would hope,
2 and 2 together.
You can kind of say, man, this is not going to be a good game for me.
No, he's a hell of a competitor, like we said. Even though Doodle traditionally played on that Mouse Sports roster, which struggled to get 1 win, if any wins, he was still always pretty damn good. He was a lot of times that sole light to look at. Toot Toot, another long-time member of sort of that, you know, Tier 2 minor league PGS scene here. He's had a lot of success. Had a great game, but again, I think it's really all about Doodle there and the incredible draft overall that Blazing Hussars put together.
And again, we mentioned it during picks and bans. We mentioned it during the game. You got to really see just how effective it could be, but there wasn't really a place to poke a hole in their armor. There wasn't something like, this is the weak link we can take down. Like, Xin is, quote-unquote, the weakest champion, I would say, out of those 5 in terms of where he's going to position himself. And Zen stays alive
On the
forever.
tier list.
He just gets himself out. Like, it doesn't even matter. So
it's tough, man.
when your weakest is still like A+, you have a lot of work to be done on the other side for drafting.
He's a terrible champion to commit all of your damage onto. He's one you have to really be paying attention to his cooldowns, and when you choose to, especially at this level, if you're not paying attention to what cooldowns are up for a Zen player, you're gonna have a bad time. Here on the map screen, we're seeing map number 2 will be Splitstone Quarry. What changes do you expect to see here in the draft? Because obviously a real banger draft in game 1. Hussars want to keep what they're doing going, but it's probably going to take some different elements on this type of map.
Honestly, I expect to potentially see Zen change out for somebody else. He could end up staying. Actually, for the most part, their draft could pretty much stay the exact same and still work on this map. I think ChromaSpace is going to have to make a lot more changes. Bomb King and Pip are still going to be strong here, but close range, you had mentioned that they both kind of want to be a little closer to you. They're not going to be getting those sniper shots. ChromaSpace is going to need to pick up something with a little bit more range just to keep up with Blazing Hussars.
There is a way, and we've seen teams play this way on Splitstone, where if you play under the bleachers near the point, which is kind of like that cave that has a fidget spinner in it and the map hazard, you can force fights in there and pick up like mid-range stuff like Bomb King or close-range stuff. But the rest of the map is like mid to long range, right? So you're basically saying, all right, we're rolling the dice on all of these fights happening in here, and that's where we can maybe be successful. If it happens anywhere else, then you kind of put yourself in a spot that you don't want to be. Andrew's going to get picked up today here on Splitstone. A lot of up-down potential for him.
I want to see Cassie right here. If Blazing Hussars are feeling, I mean, it was a really good game last game, and is going to be really consistent here for the same reasons. Androxus is going to be maybe a little bit more difficult to track down with her. Maybe they're going to lean towards like a Leon, but you need that last person to pump forward. They're going to have Furia. They're going to have an Inflame for that Androxus, that Barrack. So a ton of damage with them, plus whatever DPS they're about to pick up.
Whether it's
Pip-Ash is good, but
whether it's Leon or whether it's Cassie, they need a hyper carry right now, because Blazing Hussars don't have a ton of damage drafted at the moment. Pip, again, is that hybrid support, so he's going to be bringing decent frag ability. You mentioned, getting in a rhythm, right? They're hovering Cassie right now. That's the way it's going to go. And how can you argue anything other than that? I think he was 14-2 in game number 1. Doodle having a great performance on the Cassie. And I don't know. I haven't played Cassie in a while. I'm just kind of like meh with her. But I was in Cuss's stream the other day, and I asked him, I was like, what are your thoughts on Cassie right now? And he was like, she is strong because you never really are in a draft and say, Cassie's not good here.
Yeah.
You can say Cassie at almost any point in any draft, and it works. And it's just like, it's going to be good.
I think that's one of the things, I've tried to mention. We talked about it in like Split 3 of the PPL last year. And with Death and Taxes being gone, I think this is way more applicable. Cassie and Leon are always going to be they're consistent. Like, you're going to put someone on them, and if it's someone like Grafies or someone like Andrew Doodle, like, no matter who you switch it up to, everyone has a Cassie. Everyone's been playing Cassie. They've at least tried her once. And even if you're not the best Cassie, you're still going to be able to make her work well enough that your team can pass it.
I like it. 9% here out of the gate. Inara straight to the objective. No surprises here so far. Solar Blessing is going to come ripping through, top her back off. As Kinessa just sits atop her perched, waiting for somebody to show their skin, and Adam goes to the Carbine Fire, which is not bad DPS by any stretch of the imagination, especially at that range. But I'd like to see some snipes hit.
Finally going to be able to get some right there. Grafies gets first blood, but Adam is the one that ends up finding it. Unlimited power, not
kind of
feeling it today, as far as I can tell. I mean, that just series of bullets, but then the Bomb King game last game, he doesn't seem, again, we were actually saying last set that, if you have a switch that you need to flick to be on for this game, now's the time to do it.
Yeah. I will say, at the moment, ChromaSpace feel like they have a more Splitstone-tuned draft. Blazing Hussars, I feel like I could plug that draft onto almost any map in the game and be okay with it. But ChromaSpace, this is a, it's going to fly a little bit higher on certain maps, and it's going to obviously fall a little bit lower on others. Doodle's coming back in here with this Pip. And this fight is starting to drag a little bit, Gormizer. So we're seeing ultimates getting closer and closer, and actually Headhunter already being charged. Things could get interesting here, and I'm not just talking about Evil Mojo.
I would love to see a Headhunter come through and just find a series of insane headshots from Adam. but it just doesn't feel that likely. Blazing Hussars are playing around the Kinessa pretty well. Unlimited Power is picking up the slack, though. The Inflame is popped, and it does, in fact, help this team just push as hard as they can.
How much damage was that? Inflame plus Headhunter with a little dinky boy. When it's all said and done, another 2,000 damage plus headshot here for Adam as he is ripping this team fight to shreds. ChromaSpace will find a way to squeak this payload away, despite Ash Chemiker being right there. He cannot hold off the onslaught any longer.
And I mean, just playing that perfectly. Ults come online, they immediately pop them. That's the thing that I think last game they were not necessarily hesitating on, but they were never in a good position to use their ults like that. By the time the first point, or they charged their ults, first point was captured, the payload was halfway in their base for ChromaSpace. This time around, still capping the point, they get to showcase their talent. And that's the big difference. Now you have an Accursed Arm really just coming through for pressure more than anything else.
153, trying to keep this momentum going here. Very difficult corner to break on the offense, but a gorgeous seismic crash will stun out 3. Unlimited Power will clean it up. There's 2 frontliners still trying to hold the pieces together, but Gore, one by one, they fall, and it's another ChromaSpace victory in spades.
They found the switch. I don't know what switch it was. I don't know what they needed to do in their mind to make themselves realize that they were capable, but they have hit it, and now they're at their stride. Unlimited Power specifically going from I'm just going to call it an abysmal Bomb King game now to what started off a little strugglesome, I would say. That's a new word that I'm making up for this exact moment for this Androxus, and finally finding that stride, finding the rhythm you need to hit those shots and be consistent.
108 now on the clock here. Hands go up, hands go down, and Unlimited Power falls quickly thereafter.
Just had to give him the nice words.
Had to give him the hands, you know? Language is, you know, it's a medium to communicate your purpose, right? And I knew exactly what you meant, so you communicated effectively, and though greater society has not yet, what was the word?
Used, I can't even remember.
You can't even remember. It was that spur of the moment. But you know, in that moment, it served your purpose, and now it'll...
Strugglesome?
Was
that what I said?
I think it was. And now Strugglesome may fade into nothingness now as Unlimited
okay
Power has died twice in a row in this fight. Heat check, I think he was getting really hot there for a second. Now he's had a couple of whoopsie deaths, and I think that's going to slow down ChromaSpace here. The fact that he died is the fact that this push has to sort of kind of chill for a moment and take a step back.
And there's no one else that can really get that driving power available for them. Like maybe Barrick, maybe if Kinessa gets some really insane headshots on a part of the map where she's not really known for having that insane push. I think a lot of their push resides in Unlimited Power's pushing power.
Sure. Overtime getting started here now. A lot of ultimates. Who's spending what and when? If at all. Overtime may just expire as 3 members of ChromaSpace on the offense here, and now 4 are sort of disconnected from the payload. Doodle manages to pick one up before going down himself. GraphBS finds Adam in the back line, and Overtime is just being kept alive by this unbreaking, unwavering Inara here who refuses to give up. Dyrax even finds a kill for his trouble.
That,
oh no!
I mean, of all the things that you can have happen,
Chemiker!
There's just a whole list of things that went wrong towards the tail end. I will say, Blazing Hussars, you can't let the Inara kill the Cassie. And on the other side, Inara, you can't just let the Ashe walk up to you.
Hitting a lot of shots here in this replay. Unlimited Power set up nicely for one of the better team fights of that first round. But at the end there, it's the knockback from Chemiker that ends the round, and then he even gets the salt to the wound on poor Unlimited Power, who popped his ultimate and then gets blasted out of the sky. Only 2 kills for Chemiker that round, but boy, did they feel good, I'm sure. He certainly did a great job on the payload, or on the point, excuse me, stalling that out for as long as humanly possible. Had a great ultimate as well. Right in that door of the bleachers, it basically negates the entire theatrical animation that Ashe normally has to go through and just gets right to the point. So he does a great job stalling out the point, and he does a great job sealing the deal in overtime for his team and closing out round 1.
No, I think a lot of this round is going to depend on how much attention they are paying to where Unlimited Power is. They're not looking at him at all. 2-2 going to be able to get the kill on the Dirac, though, and that's a clean way to start it off, even though you lose Andrew Dooley.
A lot of damage going out onto the high ground as well. Nice little in and out play for Toot Toot to just grab an R, throw her into the fidget spinner, but not a lot of capture point gain for either side. And pretty much every ultimate used. Doodle's still sitting on his evil mojo, but he's just fallen again, so he won't be involved in this fight. Headhunter will, however, looking for anything and anyone to shoot. and Adam doesn't really have many targets, but that's because they're all running in fear, which is it's a win in and of itself.
That, and honestly, a pretty good response to a Kinessa starting to hit their shots, or an Jox is getting in your face. It's to run in fear. Not a lot you can do against it if they just hit their stride. And it just seems to be that way. Like Andrew Doodle, I mean, this switch up going from Cassie to Pip and putting Graphies on Cassie. Cassie so far has still been all right this game, but I haven't really seen as much from Pip that I really would have expected from what I was like seeing in the past couple weeks on this map from Pip. This seems more or less lackluster.
Definitely not, and it feels like it's been kind of the season of Pip. Pip's done a good job for himself out here in the wild. A lot of people playing him, a lot of people having success, pretty much exclusively in the Catalyst role, which is fine. That's the majority of the way Pip's been played in his lifetime. But it's really all about the Evil Mojo, and it's can you get these big Evil Mojos off, specifically likely onto the Inara. They have a couple of answers, right? They have the Overpower into the Fidget to get rid of Inara, into other map hazards, things like that. So there are different ways to deal with Inara, but finding a home for this Evil Mojo in some right is definitely one way to look at finding success here for these team fights.
And just finding a home, I want to say, for Andrew Doodle. It feels like he's getting aggressive early on, but getting picked off every single, like at the beginning of the round, the beginning of the capture point. And here, he's going to be able to shine. The defense is going to be a little easier for him, but that's not where I think his pressure is going to make the big difference. I'm wondering, can he get this kill onto like a Kinessa at the very beginning of the game? Can he put enough pressure onto ChromaSpace himself to make this pick as worthwhile as it could be?
That's an idea. I mean, diving Kinessa, I don't mind that, to be honest with you. There's nobody else that can really do it on Blazing Hussars. Cassie just can't get across the map and up onto the high ground that quickly. She can, you know, take the duel at mid-range, but that's kind of a scary prospect. If Doodle gets up in the face of the Kinessa, you know, I don't really mind that whatsoever.
And it's, I think 100%, like the next 40 seconds should be Blazing Hussars not only keeping their ults charged and keeping this payload at bay, but it should be them trying to figure out how do we approach this beginning point, because every single time now, and this is actually very similar to Game 2 of the last set that we just watched for Group A, where it's just, you have to figure out right now, this time, how you need to approach it, because the first two fights you've taken did not work out. First one, you didn't have ults. Maybe you say, okay, let's try it again, but with ults this time, see what we can do. That didn't work out. You have to change fundamentally how you approach the fight, and I think that is coming down to keeping track of Anjoxus and getting rid of that Kinessa.
Last couple of seconds here. I always say that this is the hardest corner to break on Splitstone Quarry. Last time it was broken with an incredible seismic crash, but we have not been so lucky this round. And I think the overtime may just come to an end here. Doodle puts 2 up on the board. Grafis finds 1 as well. All 5 ultimates for Blazing Hussars, 4 out of 5. And 73% for ChromaSpace. They're nearly there as well. This is going to be a very explosive team fight brewing here in this round. 6, 6, and 5 for Doodle. He's the one I want to watch. He's got his ultimate. He's got everything available. Everyone else has everything available. This is the final form team fight for Blazing Hussars. They have everything available and they can do whatever they want. And now I'm just curious to see what exactly that will be.
See, I'm just looking, I mean, I see the damage numbers, and the first thing I thought was the fact that Cassie's memeing it up for the Smite fans is 667, 67. Like, you're just throwing it out there for him. But coming to this game, keeping things the way they are, you're still 2,000 ahead of the Kinessa. You're way ahead, at least 5,000 ahead of the Anjoxus. A lot of people breaking 60K, but Graphies playing consistently. Andrew Doodle's doing well, and that is going to just be an elimination. Dirac might not even know what hit him.
And that'll do, Pig. That'll do. See, the only thing, like, because it was literally so quick, nobody's even in a space to be punished or overextended on ChromaSpace, so they do get a clean disengage there. They will come back in. 50, 60% on the objective here for Blazing Hussars. It's not the end of the world, right? That's not the, that's not the worst way that could have gone. Overpowered still ready, but Toot Toot, I don't think he's going to be able to use it.
I mean, being able to hold on, this is the point. 66 that they were able to grab on this capture is enough to just kind of hold them in this. Unlimited power goes down. Kamikert going to be able to get aggressive again. Does have his ult available. And so they're looking for holding power. They have it. Overpowered, he's going to be able to come back and use that this time around. and have it potentially eliminate Inara for, if she dies here, the 3rd time this point.
Yeah, but the Solar Blessing, dude, feels bad. Right back up to near full HP.
Oh, he missed the ult.
Inara is not going to be able to take that one down. I see Unlimited Power floating around there. Another Solar Blessing comes through while the healing amp is activated. Inara, guess what? Right back to full HP. No more ultimates available for either team. This one is going to come down to one man in his kit versus this man in that kit.
And as it is right now, those shots on limited power looking good. Dirac gets rid of Kamikaze. Adam goes down, but this is the battle I think that is going to come down. One man in his kit, one man in his other kit. And that is going to be Andrew Doodle versus Unlimited Power. Who can come out on top? You have 96%. You almost have an Evil Mojo again. You get this kill. You're set to potentially find Dirac for another time.
Nice, beautiful stuff there. He lands it on the 2 frontliners, but look at the resilience coming online, popping very quickly out of that polymorph state. The Furia beam comes through. The Furia ultimate comes through, amplifying everyone's movement speed and damage. Dirac is standing so strong on this objective. The play between Furia and Inara has been such a problem. Andrew Doodle is hard pressed, but he gets it done. He takes her out. Big potion onto Khan to keep him standing. 99 to 99. This could go either way here, but it will be blazing Hussars when it's all said and done and the dust does settle.
And it really does come down just who's stepping over whose bodies at the end of it. I mean, it is just
brutal.
Constant death from both sides. Who can come back? Who can hold on the longest? And, I mean, just a really brilliant showcase. One of how great resilience is against a Pip. That is just, that could be a PSA on its own as to how to get out of Evil Mojo. But also showcasing how important it is. One shot can truly make the difference for a lot of these things. There was one that went, I think, just over the head of the chicken before Inara popped out. It would have killed her off. And if that had just been a little lower, it might have been an easier fight. But Blazing Stars could still come out on top, and they still have another Evil Mojo charged up, ready to go.
And they do a pretty damn good job, I think, of making something out of what was kind of a Evil Mojo. It wasn't bad, right? It hit 2 people. I mean, what can you do? They just popped out of it so quickly because of the items they're purchasing. But at the end of the day, Doodle was still able to make a pretty good little rotation there and pick up the kill on the Furia, which was, I felt, the turning point there for Blazing Hussars, and that's what allowed them to finally put their foot down and start to win that damn team fight.
And now they're looking, not necessarily like a completely different team, but they're looking like a return to form from what we saw in the last game, where they're just clean. Now you have Scout available. You know exactly where they're going to be hiding. There is no safe zone. And with a Dread Serpent, a couple of shots, this is looking to walk right in.
So much resilience coming out. Even Unlimited Power has it, but it wasn't enough to save him that time around. Kamikaze plants the battle standard and lets everybody know that he wants to get this payload pushed through, but he's going to have to get through Inara first. And Doodle, Graphies, and the boys are realizing Furia is the key to taking down Inara, not just punching Inara in the face over and over and over again. Another Inflame, potentially the last Inflame. A beautiful overpower pulls Inara out of contest range to win the game.
You don't always have to kill her. You don't always have to knock her back.
Just
Sometimes
move
you just gotta
her.
say,
Get her out of here.
Like, just move.
Oh, man. That was awesome. So that's 2 different times. First round, it's Kamikaze with the beautiful knockback that ends the overtime. And in the final point for the conversion, it's the Khan overpower that just gets her off. Because they were, I mean, Solar Blessing and R, what are you going to do? There's a point where you say, we can't get through it. We can't do it anymore. We cannot kill this character. Look at this damage taken stat. 139K for Khan, 126K for Dirac. I don't think that doesn't factor in the fact that she's damage reduction so much of that damage.
She probably took, I would wager at that point, upwards of like around 200,000, maybe even a little over, just knocking some of it off of neither because of the healing or because of her in-kit damage reduction. And that says a lot for Inara, but it says a lot for the team. The way they were playing their ChromaSpace looked so much cleaner this game.
You know, you got to give credit where credit is due. Nice shots here from Adam. But again, this Inara and this Furia, these 2 players combining for such a pack-a-punch and such a noticeable impact on the game, it's incredible. And it's something that I always love to shout out when you get the chance, because it's not very often that you can say, oh my god, look at this frontline, or look at the support literally taking over this team fight. But Mad Mac and Dirac were buying so much time for ChromaSpace, and even though they weren't able to win out at the end of the day, I still think it's worth it to commend those 2 for connecting damn near every Solar Blessing. We talked about, and we, when we play that, right? We cast all the time. We're playing games on stream. we even have to remind ourselves there we have to talk when we're playing that talent, or else it's going to be useless for us.
And even then, sometimes you I have a beam coming out. That never means you're in a position to actually get there. I'm just going to throw, you throw it in the direction, and then you kind of hope that they're in a position to turn around and grab it. To be able to make it work when you have something like a Cassie that can knock you out of it, so much displacement on the other side is very impressive.
Yeah, great stuff. A lot of little min-maxy things that were really fun to watch in that game. We're going to head to the map screen here and take a look at where Game 3 will take place. It'll be Bright Marsh here, 4-1 and 4-2 victories for Blazing Hussars out of the gate. We'll see if they can keep it going here. One more victory would mean a victory in this set, and that they can move on feeling a little bit better. Remember, this is not an outright qualifying match. This is a group stage. We're showing you kind of like the best and the brightest of top 4, or the top 2 matches kind of from each group. There's going to be a total of, I think it's like 12 or something like that, best of 5s total, because each, or maybe it's 8. Each of these teams playing each other. I don't know. A lot of games are being played in these group stages. We're only showing you a handful of them. So we're showing you the kind of the highlights, and then at the end of this broadcast, we are going to reveal the final standings of the results of all of those games, and that will reveal the other top 2 in this group, and we will have our final 4 EU minor league qualified teams. We're doing it all over again for North America tomorrow, so make sure you show up same time, same place tomorrow if you want to catch that red, white, and blue action. And our Cassie picked up Khan, Pip for Hussars, Torvald, Grover, Makoa, Bomb King all band away, and Ruckus will keep it going. Remember, we are playing on Bright Marsh.
And being able to kind of set this up, Pip, Bomb King being banned, probably one of the best players or best champions you can kind of turn to after that. Drogos has been... It was kind of weird. For some reason on this map, he became really, really big, and then everyone was like, wait, we're just Bomb King replacement right now. We're going to switch it back. Leon is going to be able to thwart him, I believe, from coming into the skies as they go. Again, Blazing Hussars just kind of have a plug-and-play composition. Like, Pip is maybe the most map-dependent, but the rest of them are like, anywhere you need to play them, they're going to work.
If I had to give a diagnosis as to why we're not seeing Drogos quite as much as we were in the first couple of weeks, it's because Evan and I talked about this. Wormjets, the way it works now, it changed the game for that character.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing when he's played in completely different parts of the map that were just never really touched before, seen before. You get used to how maps are played. Stone Keep, everybody runs up on the high ground, they smash into each other. Serpent Beach, behind the waterfall, they all W key at each other, smash into. There's certain things that you're just used to. That's a Drogo spot up there. Kinessa likes to sit here usually, peek over the wall in front. You know, there's those things. And as people get used to the new things that the new Wormjets brings into the fold, the character's effectiveness falls off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm kind of interested because it was very much with the new Wormjets. This, instead of having a Drogo's spot, the whole sky was your spot. But fortunately for Drogos and anybody who's going to be up there, the sky's pretty open, honestly, when it comes down to aiming. Leon, Cassie, very effective at taking things out of the sky. And so you had to draft incredibly carefully if you wanted to pick him up. He's not even going to be able to show his face in this game.
It's tough when you have a really good hit scan champion out there on the food chain like Leon, who's not really sought after either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When she had Death and Taxes, she's picked every game. She's 100%
She was even banned sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes banned. If not 100% pick rate, no doubt in my mind. Now it's like she's kind of almost always open, right? So if you pick a Drogos, they definitely scoop in Leon in the next draft, and they're not going to have any problems with doing so.
And it, again, comes to me as Cassie and Leon fit in the exact same spot. There's never really a draft where you look at it and you think Leon or Cassie's going to be bad. It's just sometimes maybe there's something that you'd prefer a little better. Right now, Grafies is making the switch from Cassie to Leon almost like it's nothing. He's finding the damage clean.
Kid's got a shot. Can we damage charts real quick? It's been 40 seconds of getting into this game here. Cassie's always doing that, though.
She's always getting ahead.
She's always sneaking ahead and damage somehow. Great stuff so far from a lot of different members. A lot of people doing a lot of damage here, but it's Blazing Hussars at almost 60% on the objective.
I mean, they're playing it the way that a lot of teams we've seen in the past, you're going to get a little bit of a lead. You don't need a lot of zoning. You just need one person standing on the point, getting as much percentage as you can. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get the kill onto Eevee, which might have bought them a little bit more time and a lot more room.
Goof the dash. He slid past Eevee before the shot actually went out from the little Grace. Corio picks it up on a Grafis, so a little slip. And then the fall of Grafis. The Leon dead for the first time this game, 93%, but it's time for ChromaSpace So maybe put their foot down, but look at all this. The ultimate's coming out in spades. Everything is popped in flame. Overpower ripping through, and the Tempest to top it all off. It is tough to fight into that early on. Toot Toot. The man grabs a triple kill on the objective, and that will do it. Blazing Hussars on the first offense of Brightmarsh. And
I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out to Fury, because the Inflame obviously helps that fight go much more handily in their favor. But Dying Breath, I'm going to throw this beam out. It's going to heal you. I'm gone, but it doesn't matter. Like, my effects are still on the board. They're still playing, or at least having an effect on the fight. And I think it even is able to get a stun in there as well. So it's just like being able to have that wherewithal of being like, I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go down without a fight. You guys are going to be set up to find potentially a triple kill here for 2-2.
There's something so fun about the first team fight when it drags on long enough on the point that everyone starts to get ultimates, and you almost don't really even think about it. You just kind of slam your head on the E button the second it comes up, and everyone's like cool with it, like, oh my god. It's because it's like a flex. It's like, look how fast I have my ultimate, you idiots. Good luck.
I charged this up in a couple minutes on this point. Like, we fought so well.
I mean, that's what we saw. It was like Inflame, Tempest, Overpower, all at the like overlapping perfectly. All three of those characters were at exactly 1% ultimate charge together, and it was, you know, it was a great team fight, and it overwhelms them. That's why you do it the way you do it in round one like that. You're just trying to overwhelm them. The second you're getting your ultimate, you're popping it because you're betting that they don't have theirs.
And we've said in the past that you have plenty of time during a defense or an offense for the payload to charge up your ult. If you use it at the end of a point capture, then you're set. You're going to have it for the next round, or if you need it, you can end this round with it. It kind of depends on the players, how they're feeling, but like, there's no reason for Blazing Hussars. I mean, you can see Evil Mojo, the Enlightenment's going to be back, and Flame is back, as well as this Overpowered. They can use them again if they so please.
A lot of spot healing coming out. I mean, you got the Fury, you got the Pip with the potions, you got the Grok totems. We saw a comp similar to this one played by All Business on Serpent Beach, and it worked out damn well for them. There was just so much spot healing, and even when 4 cauterized 3s were online, those boys still knew how to play it, to the fact that they could still win these team fights and still do a really, really good job with all that pressure. Nice shot there from Pip. Shout-outs to that. Mid-air Pip shots. Not easy to do, but Doodle hits one on a soaring Eevee as she tries to exit the fight.
I'm looking at the bar in the bottom right. There it is, unlimited power. Going to be able to pick up a kill. He's been doing a lot in the back line. And that's kind of where I think Blazing Hussars have been faltering. They haven't been looking for this Eevee. Or, worse, Eevee's been getting away from them. They haven't been able to lock down unlimited power. He's on a 10 streak right now. He's kind of the only one really making strides for ChromaSpace.
Oh, okay. I mean, golly, he had to be less than 25% health when he started that fight against Kamikar. But he manages to pull it out there. Some theatrics here in the back line for UP. One of his strongest champions, no doubt. But my goodness, he has certainly found his pacing here on the first round of this defense.
Toot Toot got himself a triple kill, and this was the beam right there, the one that stuns Ruckus, heals up Toot Toot. It's perfect in the middle. Surretz goes down, but again, not without a fight. And while everyone was low at that point, I feel like that was just the beginning to set up for success. 4-1-4. And, I mean, admittedly, it's just all the way that Khan has played. The fact that he has this extra healing from plate mail, the fact that he has his battle shout up. Khan is not necessarily unkillable, but if he's in the right hands, he becomes a literal tank.
Yeah, he's a monster. And shoulder bash kills used to be my favorite thing, but now I think I like the nice, like, long-range, juicy commander's grab kill. Because you don't actually grab them. It looks like Khan just, like, punches you in the face and you die. And that's pretty metal.
And he does it exactly the way he would want to. Probably yelling. Now he's going to be able to...
Dude, he barely even made it there. He was almost dead on arrival.
He got to the point where literally Khan could have just tickled him once he got there and he was dead.
Coochie coochie. I mean, wow. That was some focus fire from Blazing Hussars there.
I want to hear the comms during that. Like, the minute he grabs him, I want to know what everyone said.
Probably. They're just, oh my god, I can't even imagine. They're just focused up, hitting every shot. 57-48, still remaining pretty close, despite the opening rip there from Blazing Hussars. Under the beam for as long as he can. Toot Toot gets some healing, not as much as he probably would have liked. and he will be obliterated quickly thereafter. Nara's still pretty healthy here on this objective, and that's what's scary. She's going to yak her spear out, stunning 2, but the follow-up does not come.
The kill's still going to be clean there, coming out. The Blazing Hussars are the ones picking him up, and that's going to be Mad Mac. That is the worst kind of delay kill you can have. Now, not only is your main front line going to be staggered out, their only source of sustain that's really going to be there for the objective is going to be taken out. Now, that 90% doesn't seem like it's going to be a whole lot. You have Eevee to be able to buy overtime. Dyrac's going to be back. Mad Mac is going to join him. But there is a lot that they have to be able to do to get rid of this and get that presence on the point.
Okay, great shot there. Manages to find it. Great target swap. Grafis finding value and everyone out of the frying pan and into the fryer, or Toot Toot as we like to call him nowadays. Picks up 2 more on the objective. That boy is fragging big time on Khan. Unlimited power. Never actually blinks back there. Everyone was waiting for the read, waiting for him to come back, but he never did. And he was
Some
never
say he's
seen
still
again.
sailing to this day.
He's still flying around in Brightmar somewhere. Not in this team fight, though. Thankfully, Coriel has managed to pick up 2 kills without UP. Now the rotation's coming through, and Eevee is starting to get involved. And she's catching all of the retreating members of Blazing Hussars. So a risk that actually paid off.
And honestly, it's working out well for them because I feel like if Eevee gets caught out by this Khan, I mean, Khan right now is literally just a grinder. Like, if you get caught by him, he is going to just reduce you to nothing. So you have to take this fight carefully. You have to be able to find these shots. If Adam can thread the needle on some of these, there's a couple of really easy kills. But you have to be able to find those shots, and there's going to be Leon running away. The entirety of Blazing Hussars getting out of there. And I'm still looking at Toot Toot as potentially the most deadly player.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this is a Toot Toot thing or this is just the way Khan's going, but a lot of Storm of Bullets today, not much Vortex grip coming through, which was definitely pretty popular in the first couple of weeks that we were seeing Khan picked up. So that's definitely something I'm going to pay attention to in the coming weeks to see where Khan goes. Does he have a meta selection, if at all? On an 8 streak now, looking for the damage. A lot of healing coming through onto this Cassie. Commander's grab kill? No, he's not going to do it. But I love it, dude. It's so sick. It's one of the coolest ways to kill somebody for sure in this game. Sitting on his overpower, though, the only streak currently burning in the game, Toot Toot, having himself a little MVP performance here in game number 3, looking to close this set out.
All they have to do, I mean, if they walk this forward, that's going to set them up for a potential win. A Hexafire, you have Snowstorm, you have the healing coming down from being the Illusory Rift for her ultimate. Like, a lot that's charged up for ChromaSpace. And 30 seconds left that they can decide whether or not they need to use it. Unfortunately, Chemiker not getting, I think, as much damage down right now as he wanted to. But he's holding that divisive angle that is going to distract ChromaSpace from the payload.
He's just looking for that Shock Pulse, waiting for that Ying clone to poke its little head out so he could go to work doing rock stuff. Might pop a Tempest here, depending on how he's feeling. Gets a beautiful beam,
Ooh.
puts a Shock Pulse into Ruckus, has another Totem. Tempest still waiting, still ready to rip here. It's tough. Unlimited Power is spending so much time on this Grok, and it's just not paying off. He's staying alive. Hussars get the payload through. It will cost him the life of Chemiker, but that is certainly a price they're willing to pay.
And it all goes down in an instant, right? Everybody's looking at it, trying to defend, doing whatever they can. Once Inara was gone, once you lose Dirac, there's not a lot of people who can come through. I mean, even Coriel has kind of been melting. I mean, we saw it at the beginning of the last round, but just in general, he has not been able to withstand the onslaught that is Blazing Hussars. And it's just, I mean, 11, 2, and 12. Like, you can't ask for a better Khan performance.
Highest damage on the team as well, so it's not like he's KSing or anything like that. It's 300 above his Leon. Toot Toot really out here. And, I mean, look at the amount of spot healing, though. Khan Battle Shout, Pip Potion, Grok Totem. You've got Surette's obviously the main healer of this roster. And even Leon can look after herself with like a 400 heal after using Presence. I mean, there is just so much sustain coming through for Blazing Hussars. It's crazy the fact that they're able to play around it so well, especially later and later into this game. And Coriel, unfortunately, doesn't get anything done there. And Khan just plugs him away. Down and down he goes. This fight won by Blazing Hussars in space, and they still have 2 more ultimates.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone look so nonplussed at a Hexafire. Like, that Hexafire comes out, that's normally like, I'm going to hide, I'm going to get behind a wall.
I'm smelling it. I
was
smell the yeet.
There's going to
I
be Corey
smell the yeet. Off the map, into the swamp he goes, and now the kill will come through. I love to see it. A double kill, beautifully played by Toot Toot. 99% here. This overtime is expiring. It is a formality likely at this point. Blazing Hussars look like they've got this one about wrapped up. And the overtime will expire for one more time as Unlimited Power comes in and gets the reset here. What a performance, though. The tanks are coming back, though. Is this over when it's all said and done? It feels like a trickle to me, and it indeed will be. Blazing Hussars claim the victory. Toot Toot the god on the con, man. What a performance from him.
And that zoom out on the victory screen, I think, kind of showcased the way Blazing Hussars were performing. Anar is the only one left. There were 5 guns all pointed at Anar, and it's different angles, like all in the same place. Toot Toot played that.
Tough.
I'd say the best, but the rest of the team was just matching his level.
Yeah, damn good from everyone there. Blazing Hussars, rock solid performance all the way through this set. It wasn't easy. These weren't necessarily blowout-y type of games, but they were just solidly in control of this entire set. 142,000 damage taken, 83k output. Toot Toot, incredible stuff there. 7k healing from the battle shouts, 33 from the potion, 19 from the totem, and 100 and change from Furia. Lots and lots of healing, lots of rejuvenates. Well drafted, well played all around. I mean, I don't know. Blazing Hussars, they really had it figured out today.
I'm still kind of floored because I really don't think I've seen as many teams not care about a ruckus as that game felt. Like, every single time Coriel showed his face, like, occasionally he'd get a couple kills, he'd have like a really good performance, but for the most part, Blazing Hussars would just look at him, he'd be dead, they'd go on with their day. They never were thrown off, they were never distracted, they never had to deal with him at really in any crazy level.
And there's nothing like a good premeditated yeet, you know? And
you stand up there and you're like, all right,
you feel bad for those
coming.
that get yoked off the map. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Blazing Hussars, congratulations. That is a win in this set. Remember, it's a round robin today, though. That's not going to guarantee them a qualifying spot. We still have some more sets to show you before we reveal the final standings for Europe. That does do it for this set, though. We're going on a quick break, and we will be back with our final set of today's European Minor League. Stick around. I can't wait to see you back here.